anyone else who's tuning in live, but patrons, you get the recording. Trying out new views, new angles. I'm going to look into a stand that does like an overhead thing, because I don't like that this is in frame. I'll see if I can get one that's like comes from the side and is like goes down. But at least we can see the cards clearly this way. Forgive me if I, have them not totally centered and on angle, because it's like kind of a weird setup. I'm just experimenting this month, Aquarius, as are you. Speaking of that, let me get to your astrological notes for October 2023. You have when I first was going through Aquarius's astrology, I was surprised how similar in a lot of ways it is to Pisces. There is clearly differences in terms of placements and just like certain subtle nuances of the energy and how it's different. But I'm curious to go through. I've done 3 through Capricorn. I'm on Sagittarius now, just in terms of notes. There are themes sometimes that go through the signs like collectively, where you can kind of seem like a grander theme when you take all of the component parts and like the sum is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? That's kind of what I'm getting the vibe from, at least in this quadrant of the zodiac. So I'm also happy that we started here. We'll see what goes on as we get to the rest of the signs. We are going in reverse zodiacal order. So we've done Pisces, we'll do Aquarius, and then tomorrow will be Capricorn and Sagittarius, and so on and so forth. You get the gist of it. So Aquarius, you got some situations going on in a very good way. This is like also like 10th house for sun signs, but career sector in general for you, Aquarius, is really telling you it's time to kind of like get on the up and up. Like the energy is spiraling upwards in a positive way. Projects you're taking on will likely flourish and your efforts won't go unnoticed, so you can finally get some recognition for the hard work you've been putting in. Projects don't have to be like, I took the time to explain this to Pisces. I will for you as well, Aquarius. Work does not have to mean your job per se, right? That is what a lot of people think of for work, how you make your money, what you do. But really, any project you're working on that you're putting effort and focus into falls under this sphere of kind of like, you're going to get the results for putting in kind of the energy, the things you're excited about, the things you focus on and kind of expend energy with. You should see very positive results for that. You may discover that abundance and resources are starting to flow towards you a little bit more easily, where if there's been any bit of kind of resistance or feeling stuck, it's going to be a much more flowy state. We love to see, I'm not getting into the cards yet, but we can see here with the Ace of Cups in the future position. We'll do past, present, future for this. You see a lot of flowing energy. This can also represent emotions and kind of like feeding into the subconscious, but it definitely feels like there is going to be flowing energy towards you, Aquarius, this month in the realm of kind of abundance and resources. Now, not maybe the best time, though, to be taking unnecessary risks or kind of just spending willy-nilly, just your energy in general. Yes, this can relate to money, but it can also relate to just expending emotional energy. So make sure that you're not just kind of like letting it all go. You're going to feel an extra kind of like of energy in a good way. Don't kind of spend it all over the place because you have that burst. Kind of hold on to it, recognize that's to be honored, treated well, and it should prosper and really like kind of give a nice positive boost to the realms that you've been putting your energy into recently, okay? Love life is coming across as a haven of harmony and joy. So this is a really positive month for your like feelings of love. Now, this means that if you're single, if you're looking for love, if you're looking for a relationship, be open to new connections, and you might find someone who actually touches you like emotionally in unexpected ways. Like maybe you felt there was too hard of an exterior. No one's ever going to get to know the real new. Just be open to new connections that might be flowing your way this month. If you are in a committed relationship already, communication is probably going to be pretty easily. It's going to be flowing kind of effortlessly. effortlessly, fostering kind of a deep understanding and connection between you and your partner or partners, if that's what you're doing. But for the most part, like this is going to, again, flowy in the ways of love. Energy exchange is going to be harmonious. It is not going to be difficult to kind of connect with people deeply and emotionally, which I think, you will really appreciate this month. So that feels pretty good for you. Health kind of takes a bit of a front and center stage for you in October, Aquarius. So just be mindful of your health. This is to say that like the effort you put in related to your physical well-being will be reflected back to you pretty prominently. The converse also holds true. If you pull away attention from your physical well-being, that can start to suffer. So use the abundant energy and vitality that allow you to tackle your daily routines with enthusiasm. And determining what those daily routines are is kind of like the crux of what it's about this period in October 2023. It's really like figuring out, what do you want your days to be? This is not dissimilar from what Pisces was being asked to look at. What do you want your days to look like? How would you like to experience them? Use your energy and kind of vitality that you're getting to kind of get to the bottom of those questions, and then expend said energy expeditiously and gracefully. Okay, not a bad idea to engage in physical activities that bring you joy and relaxation, right? So just things that kind of get you moving and going, but like also make you feel good and are relaxing for you. So this doesn't mean like overdo it. Like you don't have to like kill yourself at the gym, but do stuff that's keeping you kind of vital. Don't try not to be too much of a couch potato, but things that can kind of keep you fit and elevate your mood at the same time are going to be especially beneficial. If you've been finding it hard to get the motivation to develop some type of movement routine, remind yourself that it's actually a very pleasant thing. The initial hurdle may seem like it's difficult to overcome, but once you get going with it, it's actually, you'll notice the direct correlation between kind of your physical well-being and your other states of being. Remember, your physical well-being is also a reflection of your inner beliefs and states. So if you are not treating yourself well and you're kind of aware of that but don't really tackle it, you're going to see results related to that. Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't do something. You should do something. This diet is for you. That diet's not for you. You should be exercising this much. You shouldn't be exercising this much. That's really not what it's about. It's just about like recognizing the connection between you and your physical body, and how those relationships ultimately end up playing out is by you experiencing what you believe to be true about your body, about just bodies in general. So take care of yourself this month. I don't think that's going to be too hard to do. It's just kind of like an auspicious time to get going with that stuff. Prioritizing your self-care and healthy habits to maintain this newfound sense almost of well-being is going to be critical. So just remember, when you're really like feeling the flowiness, you got to kind of, no, you don't have to work, but you do have to engage in some activities to kind of perpetuate those states, to make it easier to perpetuate those states, I should say. And one of those ways of doing that is by paying attention to our physical well-being and our health in that realm. October ultimately is a month of opportunity for you. There's a lot out there for you to go out, see, experience, dream up, manifest, all of those things. So don't waste that opportunity. Like when the energy shifts, you should take advantage of it when it shifts in your favor and things becomes a little bit easier. I just remember the past couple of months, I think you've been getting slammed. If I remember correctly, Aquarius was really getting kind of like hit heavy. So hopefully you've come out of that with like some really like positive wisdom and lessons, and kind of understand what it meant and why it happened. And just recognize you're kind of on the upswing now. Like the energy is flowing back to you. Don't waste that opportunity is all I'm saying. Okay. Trust your instincts and listen to your intuition. They're going to be guiding you, making crucial decisions. So going inside internally. That said, also be open to seeking advice from mentors or wise individuals in your life, as their insights could prove invaluable in your journey. Right. So, this doesn't mean just listen to anyone and everyone. Okay. This means listen to people in your life who you can trust. You know their wisdom has been borne out before. You've seen it play out. It's good advice, whether you liked it at the time or not. It happened. Those are also worth kind of experiencing that wisdom through another when you respect and kind of recognize their value. It makes a lot of sense. So go ahead and do that. But again, your intuition is going to be another primary driver of how you suss out and kind of feel your way into new big experiences. And this, just to be clear, when I say this is like a month of opportunity, it's a time to like really dream big and take big and bold steps towards your goals. So these are really kind of like core drives and desires. Now, I want to be clear that you don't want to get too outcome specific necessarily. Like, you can have a very specific outcome. That's great. We know that for the imaginal technique, that's very useful. But you want to be aware of the realm you're focusing in more, and allow things to come to you that way. I say this because what I've been noticing a lot recently is the more specific, or the more you kind of consciously derive what you would like a situation to be, the less accuracy there is in predicting that specific thing, right? Doesn't mean you could be an amazing manifestor. You could, manifest a blue Maserati. You picture that thing right in your head. Bam, there's the blue Maserati exactly as you pictured it. But it is kind of a fun part of the game to imagine states of consciousness, how you would feel having known you were doing what you were supposed to be doing, a sense of fulfillment, satisfaction, ecstasy, joy. Those things will lead to countless wonderful physical experiences, but you're going to get the state attached to it as well. So what's more important, I guess, at the end of the day, right? The specific thing or the state of how you feel? I would argue the state of how you feel, and be open to whatever that looks like in any guise. You know what your preferences are. People don't have to tell you. Don't be so disassociated from your identity that you don't know where your boundaries and what your likes and what your dislikes are. That's totally allowed. Yes, everything is everything. All is one. There's no distinction on some level. But in this realm of polarity and duality, acknowledge that differences makes things interesting, and it's a big part of why we experience these kind of spectrums and polarities. Okay. The sun, right? So here's what the sun is doing for this month. And we'll talk about the new moon, which is October 14th. We get the split right in the middle there. And I believe, is that the solar eclipse? That's the solar eclipse on the new moon. Okay. We have the solar eclipse. We have two eclipses in October. It's got some energy going on in it. And then the 28th, we have the full moon in Taurus, and that is a lunar eclipse. And that's a doozy and a half. So we'll get to that in a second. But basically, recognize the moon is going to be going, it moves pretty quickly, right? It's going through signs, 2.5 days, 2 days, stuff like that. So it moves. But the sun we have in Libra, and then we are going to Scorpio. And so there's this shift to these more kind of change and wind-like and kind of broader concept, kind of communal, societal focus with Libra. And then we have Scorpio come in, and it's like transformation, rebirth, assessment, change, that type of energy flowing in. And in the middle of that, we have a Libra new moon, okay? And then a Taurus full moon, and eclipses, solar, lunar, respectively, for both. So just recognize there are some powerful points in October for kind of like introspection, dreaming big, understanding, actualizing goals, being clear about what it is you want to do, what it is you would like to experience, and the potentialities, like the potentiate for that is great at various points. So just these are the themes that are likely to kind of be woven into your experience during October 2023. And I mentioned on the podcast recently, like 2023 has been long. It's been a very long, somehow time is a little more malleable than others. I don't mean to say this is for everyone, but I will say that, what I have noticed, my personal experience of 2023, and speaking with others, they have shared this synopsis. It's been a very long 1 year period. It feels like 10 years kind of jammed into 1 year. And that can be tiring. It can be exhausting. It can be difficult. It can be productive. It can be anything under the sun. But it's kind of also okay to recognize that if you have energy flowing your way towards the end of this year, using that as like a potentiate to kind of like turbo boost your reality isn't the worst idea. It's not the worst idea. That's all I'm saying. Okay. And overall, October, just like for you, October is a positive and transformative month, right? Cosmic energies are aligning in your favor. They're granting you motivation and inspiration to pursue your dreams. So please take advantage of that and embrace the opportunities that come your way. And remember to nurture your relationships and own personal well-being. That's the self-care stuff. And trust your abilities, and you will absolutely achieve all the things you want to do in various aspects of your life. So really just remember that this is a month for kind of putting things into focus and then like getting the relating or vibrating with the frequency of excitement for those kind of realities or, you know, experiences that are coming your way, because you're that resonant field is coming in harmony with each other, right? Okay. Let's get into the cards. Did the cards a little bit differently today. They're here. So this is going to be past, present, future. Past, right? Planting seeds. This is like the Imaginal Act card, like one of the best depictions of it is you plant your seeds, right? You've let those seeds go. You don't hang on to the seeds. You don't say, oh, I would like to experience this reality. I'm going to go through the imaginal technique and then just keep doing it over and over and over again, hanging on to it. Because then you're literally not letting the seed be planted. Now, is every seed you going to plant, every seed that you plant going to sprout immediately? No, it's not. You're going to need some degree of patience here, which is really, it doesn't mean that it's going to take a long time. It just means you have to be used to, on some levels, the idea of letting things develop when on their own time, which sounds like slowing down to some people, but it's really not. It's just understanding when the time is right for things. It's a sense of timing, right? It can be a microsecond. It doesn't have to do anything really with the length of time, which is kind of an arbitrary distinction and fabrication that we use to navigate through time and space. You know, the third and fourth dimensions. Yeah, it's not the only dimensions that are out there. So you don't have to get too caught up on it, but you do have to develop that quality of allowing things to blossom, allowing things to grow. And especially when it comes to beliefs and internal states of belief, you just got to let shit happen and feel it the way it's supposed to be felt. Don't force yourself to do things. But this is the past, right? These seeds have actually been planted for you. So you're really kind of getting to, look at this, justice. Right in the middle, this is your present. This is Libran energy. We see the scales, right? This is what I'm talking about when it comes to societal dreams, goals, but also related to your personal dreams, goals. Those may be intertwined with society. They may be in the public sphere or the entertainment sphere or whatever it is. They don't have to be, but you're going to be thinking about kind of how the macro fits into the micro, so on and so forth, how you fit into the collective organism, and how, we're all part of a greater organism of sorts. There's going to be these themes of kind of fairness, equality, but also big systemic changes. And ultimately, Libra is ruled by Venus. It is a very powerful and seductive state of mind. When we're talking about Venus, we're talking about love, communion, and really just this ability to kind of see things through with a unbiased, balanced point of reference, right? And so that's not only what's going on here as we edge out of September, but certainly going into October, that is going to be the theme. Now, we have that solar eclipse with the new moon on October 14th. Just want to highlight that as a time where it is probably not the worst idea to look at some shadow work or some shadow elements of your expression. What are you doing internally? Are you casting judgment on yourself or another? Are you condemning yourself by a belief? Or are you holding yourself back with a fear? Are you holding other people in lower states because you feel superior? Is it an ego thing? Whatever it is, it's not the worst idea on the 14th to think about how some of those things come into focus. And even if you don't feel like you need to, if those things start to happen around there, recognize that is probably this Libran eclipse energy. New moons are also wonderful times to set intentions, kind of plan activations, get yourself tuned up. It's a good way to kind of embrace and acknowledge shadow material, but use it constructively. Now, what's wonderful about that is we move into Scorpio soon later in the month, right? So you have that kind of natural scorpionic energy of rebirth and resurgence really coming into play there. So that shadow solar eclipse new moon in Libra, when the sun is also in Libra, is pretty powerful. And I would say that it's a good kind of like segue into what the latter half of the month may feel like, which is a little more introspective, a little more kind of dealing with themes of kind of transformation, karma, death, rebirth, that type of stuff. Okay, cool. And then finally we have, let me talk about it comes in with this one. And then we have the Ace of Cups. Okay. So the Ace of Cups for the future position, which will be the latter half, we'll say, of October 2023, but also just what you can expect at any future point. It doesn't necessarily imply distance of time. It's just a future state, a canvas in which will be painted upon. You have the Ace of Cups, right? And this is self-care. This is emotions. This is really, again, like for you, please take care of yourself emotionally, physically, spiritually in the month of October. You're going to have a lot more energy than you've probably had the past 2 months. You were kind of in like a little bit of a hunker down mode, at least in terms of like the astrological energies that were going around. So if you made progress and you felt pretty good and things were going really well for you, congrats. You just got through a pretty tumultuous period and you're doing pretty damn good. If it has been difficult over the past couple of months, this card really here is to remind you that like, yeah, you have the energy now. You have the motivation now. You have the curiosity and the excitement now. Just take care of yourself. That's how you carry it into the future. That's how you don't burn out. That's how you don't kind of let external reality tell you what's going on rather than you kind of summoning the strength and being able to recognize what's important to you and kind of run things from there. That feeds into the Taurus full moon lunar eclipse. That's a doozy, right? So physical reality is very much related to the sign of Taurus, right? It is an earth sign. It is the sign of it's the second house sign. It's typically associated with money. Venus is another planet. A planet rules both Libra and Taurus, and it's a very sensual sign. It's very kind of, like I said, think mother goddess energy, Gaian energy. It's very powerful. And when we have a lunar eclipse, a full moon, in that sign on the 28th of October, you can maybe expect some physical shadow type material to populate your consciousness. This doesn't mean there's any more weight or substance to it. It means that these things tend to pop up in our minds and come up. This could be, trauma. This could be physical health. This could be, how you are doing in the world resource-wise. Those things tend to come into focus. They come into focus for you to look at either as a contrast, meaning that something that you use to say, okay, well, this is in contrast to what I actually like. So this is not what I would like to be experiencing. And I know that because this is what feels like it would be nice to experience. So I see that thank you for this opportunity to recognize this isn't exactly what I want. And that's okay, Aquarius. It's completely fine to recognize that and honor that. That's not a big deal. It can also come in the form of, this is exactly what I want. This feels completely on point. I would like to surrender that which isn't this so I can experience more of this. So it cuts both ways. And this is going to be a month where I think these things come into more focus. The contrast, both in terms of the difference between the two things, but also contrast in terms of being able to see one more clearly than another, right? Think of the double meaning of that word, where there's the comparison of the two things, but also the coming into focus of one thing when you adjust the contrast. Okay, let's pull some threads of fate here. speak truth. And this also has to do with communication for you, Aquarius. Like this, I like this view, right? We're doing good with this. I think it's better, right? We can see the cards a lot more clearly. I think I like it. So speak truth, like just honor what you need to do in terms of expressing yourself. Don't hold back. Don't worry what other people are going to think. This is the time for you to kind of ascend, get that kind of, again, boost of energy you're going to be feeling. Don't shy away from it. Use that to really kind of express yourself, not only internally, but also externally to people. And we had that one before. There we go. Love, like I said, not a bad month for relationships, Aquarius. Not a bad month at all. If you're in a relationship, you're going to be deepening those bonds and emotional connections. If you're not in a relationship, you're going to likely find and meet people new. You got to be out there, right? I want to be clear about that. It's not going to drop in your lap. But, you know, you don't be surprised if you forge a pretty strong emotional connection and meaningful bond with someone in the month of October. The planets are very auspicious in terms of the energies related to love for you, Aquarius. And not only do the stars say that, the cards also clearly letting you know. And then here's the Observer, right? So the Observer goes into this ability to recognize during those two periods, the October 14th new moon in Libra, solar eclipse, and the October 28th full moon in Taurus, lunar eclipse, are really good opportunities to observe like what is going on, like what is happening in my life. Do I like this? Where are energies not aligned? Where am I not tuned to? What doesn't feel the way it should feel in my life? And then listen, once you identify those things, that's kind of the harder part. The identification, it is a multi-step process, but the identification of what isn't feeling the way you would like it to feel is a key crucial component of like changing anything, right? That's the only way. The awareness you bring to that gives you the path forward, right? And it can be a very simple path forward. It doesn't have to be laborious and long and painful and struggling. Like my hair just keeps flipping back. So just recognize this, that observer stance of kind of taking the bird's eye view is going to be of particular help to you in October. All right, we'll wrap it up with some animal oracles. Dragonfly spirit, truth transcends illusion. And this is like where you get in touch with your core self. You get in touch with your ability to kind of experience reality on your terms, regardless of what's going on. It's being able to judo flip perceived negative situations into positive learning, wisdom experiences. It's the ability to let harmony and love kind of flow out from within you and then percolate into your external reality and reflect that back to you, right? I mentioned it on the podcast. The mirror will not smile back at you first. You kind of have to put that out there for the reality to reflect it back to you. And I think you're going to get a lot of, experience there. Sing your own song too, right? Canary spirit. Make sure you're actually doing the things you want to be doing. Can I say that more clearly? Don't do things for other people, especially when it comes to ideas of responsibility and accountability. Yes, you are 100% responsible and accountable for your life. That does not mean being a slave to situations and perceived obligations in your life. Do what you need to do. Trust the rest will work out. Hair. It's like that hair was like being communicated. It's like, do what you need to do. Be free. Do what you need to do though. Don't let other people kind of direct you and tell you what you need to be doing. It ain't gonna work out anyway. Got that one last time. Let's do another one. Butterfly spirit. Perfect scorpionic energy. Transformation is beautiful. And it is if you allow it to happen. And that's what the second half of October is about big time, is it's allowing things to happen. Letting go of things that are no longer serving you, making sure that you're not kind of holding on or clinging to versions of reality or versions of yourself that are just, quite frankly, not meant for this world, right? And you know what that feels like when you cling to a reality that is not meant for this world. It's painful, right? There can be a lot of suffering attached to it. I do want you to recognize that those experiences typically mean you are about to engage in a breakthrough. They don't tend to last unless you really kind of have to like do nothing or do things in the opposite direction to perpetuate them. And that requires energy. Like you actually almost have to work to not let things happen. Or you just like, you become, like stagnant. But that also in itself requires more energy than you think. Have you ever noticed when you're like depressed or in a lower state of mood, how you don't have energy? Well, why is that? And you could say, oh, well, that's why I'm in that state of mood. No, I don't think so. It actually requires a tremendous amount of energy to stay depressed. It requires building very complex narratives about why you aren't good enough, why things can't happen for you, why is the world against you, why do other people have this? There's a lot of comparisons, judgments, guilt, shame. That's a lot of energy, and it'll feel like it's getting sucked out of you, right? It can almost feel parasitic in a lot of ways, but this is something you're doing to yourself. So just recognize that as soon as you're ready to step out of that, as soon as you're ready to kind of recognize that you can change things in your life, you don't have to do a lot at first, but you do possess that ability. That's the moment when that kind of can be let go and you can experience more kind of aligned experiences, resonant, right? Resonant frequencies. You know what I'm saying. Okay, Aquarius, that is it for October 2023. I will be back tomorrow with Capricorn and Sagittarius. We're going to do 2 of these a day, wrapping up in the final days of September. I like this view. I think I'm going to keep this view. I think we're going to do that. All right, Aquarius, I will see you soon. Patrons, these will be recorded. Don't worry, you'll get them all. And I'm going to see if I can get a top stand for this to have this not be in frame right here. That'd be cool. All right, guys, I will